Hey everybody, good morning. Been up already for a few hours before I even came downstairs and everything. Not much dreaming last night or this morning. Watched a video on the CBC or the Fifth Estate, the Canadian broadcast channel, and they had this segment on a child that had major imbalances in his biochemistry. And he was acting out and very hard to deal with, and how he basically slipped through the cracks of the system because the system was ill-equipped to deal with those major imbalances. And I'm like, our system is ill-equipped to deal with people with major mental illness, like major. And so what they do is, if you can afford it, you can have like round-the-clock care and one-on-one type of teaching, but that's not the real world. Okay. And they talked about this kid's situation, to where the parents tried so many different institutions and agencies and foster homes and group homes, and he could not stand or could not handle any one of those. And then there was one institution where he actually flourished, but it's not the real world. Okay. I mean, he had major structure in that institution, in that school, and he was making A's and B's, and he was a very, very emotional child. And you'll see it on my wall. But the only way for them to afford that institution was to give up custody of their child and award him or make him a ward of the crown. And they didn't want to do that. In my opinion, I think they should have gave up custody of their child to give the child what it needed to make sure he would be able to flourish and maybe find a way to find something to be proud of, because he was doing well, but he went home and then the kid just went nuts and then eventually committed suicide. And so yeah, there was a few therapists in my group that, if you are a health and wellness influencer, especially in the psychotherapy world, you really have a duty to bring this to your people. You really do. Okay? If anything, you guys are going to be the ones to change your profession. And it's not so much of the layperson, which I think the layperson is great. I'm so glad that Kevin and John and Gemma and all of you guys are doing the protocol and you're putting it out there and you're so public, and that's so amazing. And you are my ally. And then I have these therapists that have an influence in their field, and they don't publicly put me on their platform, or they don't put me on their Facebook page. Okay. And so that strikes to me as kind of funny, because I know that, well, I don't say I know, but when you are a therapist in the health and wellness world, you come from a very specific perspective, and it's very hard to shake that perspective. And so I still find some people cherry pick my information to try to prop up their own perspective, their own platform, especially around their practice. And this is why they don't really put me out there for their people or anything like that. And so, and then they're very verbose in the group. Okay. And so I notice these patterns, and I don't mind people being verbose in the group, but it's like, if you were going to take my minerals, which is fine, you bought the book, okay, great, but you're so verbose and you're so supportive, and you claim to be an ally. Well, allies will stand with the people they're aligned with publicly, because now we have to get past just the layperson. We need to get this fed into the psychotherapy world, because these kids shouldn't have to die because they couldn't get the help. Okay? I mean, if parents knew that this existed and they found ways to get this in their child, they wouldn't have to have these struggles of the battle of finding somebody to save their child, to find some institution that will take them and protect them, because this kid's like a menace to society, and not because it's anything bad or wrong. He just has imbalances, or they have imbalances. Okay? And so, yeah, I really hold my therapists who are a proponent for the J juice, or those that are influencers in the health and wellness, to a very high standard. I don't always ride your ass, because some of you, you don't need to do this 24/7 as far as promoting me. I'm not asking you to just like, make this like a campaign. But, introducing me to where, if you're going to introduce gut health on your page and you're a health and wellness influencer and you claim to be a psychotherapist or a therapist in my group, which means that people are going to know that you do therapy of sorts, which means that if you're claiming that you're so healed and sealed on the J juice and you're so healthy, and then they know you work in the spirit therapy world, and you say that you're very, very strong, why wouldn't this be somewhere on your page as something that you are proud of? And so I've just found a disconnect with that. Now, I don't kick people out of the group. I just say chill out on the comments, especially if you're still coming from the standpoint that you're demonizing parasites, because people will say stuff in my group. Because I don't want to have people just say, oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I had all these different reversals, and they're making these correlation equals causation, that the parasites cause their ocular issues, or that the J juice has, calmed down this, or, which is fine. But we're not demonizing parasites. We're not coming from the standpoint that there is anything poisonous out there. It's just a weak body that didn't get the nutrients and the healed and sealed, the absorption that it needs to be able to fix the weaknesses. That's it. The parasites aren't the issue. The yeast isn't really the issue. The heavy metals, the GMO, the Monsanto, the organic, whatever, the 5G, the chemtrails are not the issue. The vaccines aren't even the issue. Those are totally not the issue. The issue is when you have degenerative type of eyesight, or any kind of weakness, or any kind of malady or anomaly, you have a weak body. There was trauma sustained to your body at some point. But there are so many factors that you just can't pinpoint and say that this parasite did this, because the parasite this person was talking about is actually a very benign parasite that doesn't cause people harm. It's that Demodex, what was it? And she mentioned this specific parasite. I'm going to find it. But it's on your skin, and it's not bad. Okay, so there are parasites, which I didn't even know, but I learned that through Kevin. So Kevin helped me out with that concept that was very foreign to me. Okay. And then I did my own research and all that stuff. So he's right. Okay. So Demodex folliculorum. Demodex folliculorum is a microscopic mite that can only survive on the skin of humans. Most people have D. folliculorum on their skin. Usually the mites do not cause any harm, and are therefore considered an example of commensalism rather than a parasitism. Okay? And so I had to go field that comment. And there was just this back and forth, and I'm just like, I'm done with this debating. And this is a therapist of sorts. Okay, I know which perspective you're coming from. You need to chill out in the comments. And by the way, I noticed that you're not even promoting me on your own page. Are you even introducing this to your clients? Whatever. Not that I really want to get into somebody's business so much, but at least I could see some substantiation that you say you're an ally, because I think she mentioned, they're like, oh, why do you push people away, Jillian? Because I have all these videos and you're still coming from this demonization perspective, and you don't promote me. How do you get this out? How do you substantiate that you're an ally of mine when I'm like, I would say something politically incorrect, a redheaded stepchild, something that you're not proud of? And especially if you are in the health and wellness world, in something that's alternatives like spiritual healing, which is already controversial, how could this be any more of a leap? It's not that much of a leap transferring to J juice. If anything, it substantiates the body, mind, and spirit work, because they're all connected. And especially if you say you're a proponent in my group, but somehow it can't really trickle out into your world. I find more people who are not in these specific professional fields find it easier, yes, but people say, oh, I know the backlash. I don't want to deal with the backlash. Well, at some point, if you are a mover and shaker in your industry, you're going to have to put your neck out there and take a stand. Because at some point, you got to take a stand. All of you got to take a stand for not only yourself, but for your community, for your people. It's like, oh yeah, I have a secret group that I have for my clients. Okay, how convenient. You have a secret group for your clients. Great. And I introduced the J-Juice in there. Great. But wouldn't your audience on your Facebook, wouldn't they benefit from this? Why are you playing God? Why are you picking and choosing? Why don't you just put it out there and just see what you throw, cast a wide net. You got nothing to lose. Okay? Because this really does need to get out there. It really does. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm being so crazy, but I already see the changes in me. I see the changes in a lot of you. Some of you are suffering. Like, I've gotten 2 emails where a person, yeah, they're like, you know, I really want to do the J-Juice, but I'm throwing up prior to even going into my body. Just even the smell of it, before I even get it into my body, I'm throwing up. And this girl has cancer. A friend of hers gave her the book. A friend of hers did not have the capacity to really support her, wanted me to help her out. And so when I did that video the other day, I basically listed out how I wanted someone to enter into this group and why I would allow you into my group, even though you didn't buy the book, someone gave it to you, okay. But are you going to take the time to write to me and tell me your situation? Not that I'm going to like be your guide, but I want to know kind of who it is I'm dealing with. Because this isn't for everybody. Not everybody has the capacity to really take this on and stay with it. And then what happens is then they have a misunderstanding about the J-Juice. They go into the group thinking it's going to be this where people are going to give them tips and quips and make it easy for them to get through the healing process. I'm telling you, if you're already coming to this throwing up right before, you're not even drinking the juice, but you're throwing up, it's going to be that much harder once you get the juice in you. Because this girl has cancer. And she doesn't want to go through chemotherapy, doesn't want to go. And I'm just like, you know, this juice is not easy. There is no easy way to take this juice if you are that sick. It's going to be a personal journey, because when the body starts throwing up before this juice gets in there, the body's already trying to now do apoptosis or autophagy. What's apoptosis? When the body naturally releases cells that are not up to par, that have issues with it, that it can't divide, it can't keep dividing. And so it's the body's natural way of releasing the excess. Autophagy is when the body releases the excess through events. Okay? And so that's why I say, like, look at humanity as if it was a human body. And when people commit suicide, when people get cancer, disease, and chronic illness, it's like all of humanity going through its natural processes. You're going to have a group of people who are that malfunction, that are going to collectively pass away with cancer, with disease, with mental illness, all of that. And it sucks, but it's like watching the circle of life out there on, you know, Mutual of Omaha. It sucks to see a zebra get taken down by a lion and being ripped to shreds, but it's part of the circle of life. And so you either can be the one that's being released from the body or back to the ether, or you can choose life. Okay? And some of you are playing with this protocol as if like you have all this time in the world, and some of you don't. Some of you are not that far away from a major event where it's going to be that much harder for you to get on the protocol and stay with it. So I set this girl up correctly before she came into my group. Okay, I didn't require her to buy the book. She has it given to her by somebody. She can buy the next book. That'll have better information. But I said, hey, you know, because she was like, well, I saw your video and it and I completely understand. I come off like a fucking bitch. I know that. I come off like a bitch. Because I'm really trying to repel those that are not going to be able to handle the healing process. Because the healing process is not fun and it's not easy and it can be downright torturous for some people. And so I'd rather come off to repel someone so I can kind of gauge, you know, someone that can handle the way in which I speak, the way in which I put my foot down and create boundaries. If you can handle that without taking it personally or manipulate me and guilting me and saying, oh, you're so mean and you're not very human. If you can handle that, then most likely you could probably handle the protocol on some level, probably. She kind of fell into the, oh, that was kind of mean. You know, you need to help humanity. And I know I always find it great to find a doctor that treats me as unique and special. And I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. She's likening me to a doctor and she wants me to treat her as if she was special and unique. And I set her straight very quickly. We're not doctors. I'm going to treat you less like any of those doctors that made you feel special. Because I understand what doctors go through when they treat you as if you were cattle, because they see the same cases every single day. I feel bad for doctors because it's like an assembly line of people who are sick. And they see the same people every single day with the same issues, the same mental issues, the same health issues, the same complaints, the same, you know, malfunctions in their family, the same everything. They get tired of seeing the same thing and they try to have a good bedside manner, but I'm sure after 20 years of the same crap, they would treat them as a number, because in a way, yeah, you are just another number. Because how many people before you have came that said, oh yeah, I'm so special. And I told her in the email, you are not that special. You're no different than me. You're no different than anyone else, even though they may not have a severe as of an issue that you have right now. You're in stage 4, stage 3, but you're not that special. Okay. You have the capacity to reverse your situation if you choose to, but you have to handle the healing process. And I have a feeling that you can't, but I have hope that you can. But then the cards are stacked against her. She's already throwing up before she even takes the juice in her body. Imagine what's going to be like when she drinks the juice, even a teaspoon. It's going to be that painful. So I say, hey, I make no guarantees. You know, people can take straws and mix it with fruit juice, but no matter what, the body has to heal at some point. You're going to have to face the pain. I got another email from somebody today that was all like, oh, you're a fake, you're a fraud, and it's a disgrace. You're making all these claims and giving people false hope. And I'm just like, oh my Lordy. And I say, you know, it's a disgrace that you're even having an opinion on something that you found on the internet. And I come to find out that, you know, he found me on Dr. Phil. But when I responded, I was just like, you know, how did I say this? Let me tell you how I responded. And he turned around just like that. It was a trip. It actually surprised me. But I don't know if he was just messing. I mean, I don't know people's intentions when they email me. But I don't try to make enemies out of people who email me all their bitches. I just either say, I'm forwarding this to the FBI so they can profile you to see if you're freaking that unstable. Or you know, whatever. Because, yeah, I mean, I have emails to the FBI. So it's not like I don't. And then you know who it is that's messing with me. But what did he say? He says, Julie Juice is a joke. How dare you make all those false claims? So he's referring to the Dr. Phil. You know damn well all you're doing is spreading lies. I'm like, okay. What a disgrace you are to give people false hope. And I don't come back and just like, you know, be all whatever. I'm like, what are you talking about? I find more of a disgrace that you haven't even studied the science and you're quick to make judgments based upon the internet. And so I find that more of a disgrace than anything else. And I thank you for your feedback. And you are free to do the protocol or not. But I don't care about your belief system, just like you don't need to care about my belief system. So why don't you live and let live instead of imposing your values on other people? And if you need a punching bag, why don't you go get a gym membership and go punch a bag instead of punching other people's spirits because you have degraded your own spirit? I'm sending this email to the FBI to profile you because too many activists justify crimes committed against people because they don't agree with you. So they will profile you because they know how unstable people are who don't agree with my information. Because I've already been profiled by the FBI myself and by my government. And you are not a person that is equipped to profile me in any way, especially if you get my information from social media or sensationalism journalism. Have a great day. Don't contact me again. Don't do the protocol. But if you do, more power to you. That's it. Thanks, Kevin. I think it kind of shocked this person because then he said, I apologize for the first email. That was very rude and cruel. You know how sometimes things are portrayed in a different way on the TV shows, but if Jilly Juice would have sure a positive effect on my mental health, especially, I would love for you to tell me more about it. Now, what did I say back? Then he goes, I just find it hard to believe when I watched the Dr. Phil episode that 2 women who had strokes made me feel bad for them because I was considering trying the Jilly Juice at one point, but due to Dr. Phil's episode, I'm worried that it could cause me health issues. Like, could you promise, this is what I'm saying, what I deal with. Like, could you promise me that if I try the Jilly Juice, I won't have any negative effects? I suffer from bipolar 1 disorder and anxiety and seizures. Do you think I could benefit from this? Whoo! Okay, what did I say back? Because yeah, these are the things that I deal with. Okay. So I said, I really appreciate the way you came back, and you rethought your perception of me based upon my response. Because it could have gone either way. I'm going to give you a hint. The fact that the lady on Dr. Phil survived her symptoms, regardless of where she thinks it came from, is a testament she had enough minerals in her body to give her another day, even if it's to bitch about Jilly Juice. If you watch my videos on YouTube, pain and healing is part of the process. So there's no way I can promise you that you're not going to go through any pain. Because I'm not a doctor. We don't anesthetize people until they pass away. And they're going to have to face the pain that which they have been avoiding their whole life. When your body is dying to live and you're not giving it what it needs, anxiety and pain, all the different symptoms will keep torturing you until you finally heal and seal. And that is the whole point of J Juice, of which the lady on Dr. Phil didn't understand. And I couldn't make her understand. This is not an easy protocol, and it's not poisonous. It doesn't cause people cancer, disease, or chronic illness, but it will make you face that which you have been avoiding your whole life. And if you have mental illness, you should let people know that you're doing the juice if you choose to. So that way they can give you the proper support while you're going through the healing process. This juice isn't for everybody because not everybody is strong enough to face the pain. But if you think you are, then you should get my book and read it so you understand what to expect. And then let your doctor know, as well as anyone that is living with you know, that they're not completely taken aback by any kind of healing process you're going through. And I can't tell you, it's something that you're going to have to watch my videos, read my book, and I make no promises that your situation will get reversed because ultimately you have to be the one to do the protocol. I have one book out right now that has some of the science that I substantiate to my government when they ask me with the actual Jilly Juice protocol. Oh, when they ask me, whatever, with the actual Jilly Juice protocol recipe, diet, and potential healing symptoms. And not all of them are listed because you have a unique set of circumstances that are going to come up. But that is going to be discontinued next year because I have a new book with better science. And some of the science I have right now, I have revised and changed. And it's far more financially feasible to create another book event to revise some of this information in my current book. But, and I do this talk to text because it's just like, when I get these emails, I churn them out because I don't want to spend so much time because it's a lot of time to spend on this stuff. Okay. So why don't you check out my YouTube videos I have for the public with no ads? It's free, of course. My Facebook page are open for everybody to follow me if they choose. And if you choose to friend request me, I recognize your name, I will consider adding you as a friend. But I do not do any personal consultations. I do not go to anybody. I do not get anybody really through the process, guide anybody through the process. However, we do not have a support. However, we do have a support group for people who have bought the book, so you could buy the book now if you wanted to and buy the one next year. But all the information on my concepts, my thought process, substantiation is in my book. And I have a Facebook Lives every day that I do upload YouTube videos, and then the recipes on my biography, and I have an instructional on how to make the recipe on my wall. And so basically I kind of gave him access to me if he chooses. That's the gist of it. Now I know it's like gobbledygook because it's like, it's a lot. But yeah, I mean, everybody thinks that they're going to escape the pain process when they do the J juice. They're going to treat me as if I was their doctor, and I'm not. Or they're going to come from the perspective of a therapist and work from demonization to then and then we go back and forth on Facebook, and I'm giving my minerals to someone who really isn't supporting me or an ally in any way. Because this person's like to me that I was talking to last night. She's like, how do you push away allies? Well, do you know that allies stand next to you? Allies are not afraid of you or not afraid of supporting you publicly. Allies, you know who's an ally that I know is an ally? Those of you who have put me on your page, who have outed yourself in some way, shape, or form that you're doing the J juice and getting benefit. The ones I know particularly are allies are Kevin and Bridget and Lillian. And then those of you who are doing the protocol, not afraid to talk about it on your personal page or anywhere. Now, I'm not asking you guys to keep promoting me every single day, but at least people know in your world that you're doing the J juice, and I see it. And you're not constantly debating me on subject matters such as what people to demonize, how they diagnose. Okay? And so, you know, I'm going back and forth with this person. I'm like, this person knows she's trying to be very diplomatic. I can tell when therapists try not to get triggered or try not to trigger me, so they choose their words carefully. And I could see, I've been, you know, I was raised as a therapist, so I know the techniques. And I'm like, no, you're not going to turn this around and basically treat me as if I'm your patient. It's not going to happen. Substantiation of an ally is when you're not afraid to put this out there on your own personal page. Because some people don't even use their real names on my Facebook that are in the group. Some people actually have SOC accounts that they've built up for this specific purpose. So that way they don't risk their kids, they don't risk any privacy issues. And I know people do that. And this particular person does that. She has a SOC account. Hey, Joey, it's not her real name. It's not her, I mean, it's probably her real account, it's her real information, but it's not her real name. Okay? So I don't know why you wouldn't put me on your regular Facebook page. Because people can say, you know, I'm going to use a different name and tell all their friends and family I'm using this name, you know, whatever, Sarah Smith or something. That's not the person, but and so why you wouldn't put it on your page if you are such a proponent for J juice and you're an influencer. But you know, there's a reason behind it. Why they wouldn't, I don't know. I was like, well, you're not strong enough? Well, you know, well, then you're not as healed and sealed and strong as you claim to be. Especially if you're in the health and wellness world, in the alternative, spiritual healing, whatever. That's what I don't get. Is if I'm willing to come out with no degree, no major, you know, specific concentration in any one area with some kind of certificate, but you have one, you have more of an influence than I do in a lot of ways. Why you wouldn't put this as a togetherness, at least on your own page, Facebook page, that doesn't have your real name? That's what I don't understand. So it's just, it strikes my gut as funny. And I see that, and I don't like it. Okay. So, anyways, so yeah, so that's some of the things that I do deal with, because I control the narrative. I control the narrative. And I know that when somebody is highly educated in psychotherapy or therapy, and they are in the holistic world, their natural go-to is to demonize. Their natural go-to is to diagnose in an indirect way, and then say, oh yeah, the J-juice, this parasite is so horrible, and this and that. And what happens is, when someone demonizes parasites or demonizes all these different things like heavy metals and all of this stuff, then what happens is that someone reads that, and they read that comment or this person's diagnosis, and they've said somewhere in the group that they're some kind of spiritual healer, they're going to automatically then, if they're not that savvy with the J-juice, they're going to go find a parasite detox. They're going to go find some kind of supplement. They're going to go contact that young lady and say, hey, I see that you're into, you do all this stuff, and I would love for you to help me, guide me through this process. And so then what happens is then these psychotherapists and these spiritual healers are then pilfering from my crowd. They are procuring new clients. They are parasiting off my information and trying to find new clients. Okay. Oh, there's the ghost. I see it. You see it flying around, you guys? Hey, ghost. Okay. And so, very interesting. And so, so that's what happens. And so, if that's fine, if you want to be, if you want to help my people and give your perspective, your psychotherapist perspective, your spiritual healing perspective, then I expect you to put me somewhere on your Facebook. If you're going to be pilfering from my circle of influence, then why don't you put me out there in your world as if you are an ally, posing as such? But no, I find it's very one-sided. Okay. And so this is what red flags me. That's why I don't do collaborations, because it's always one-sided, because someone's going to inevitably not be strong enough to handle the backlash, because this is very, very controversial, but very effective. And it goes against everything out there. And not everybody can do this, and they know it, and then they get pissed off, and then they blame me, and they start demonizing me. And so then what happened was, we were going back and forth on private message, and I finally just ended it because she didn't get it. So I blocked on private message because I said, I'm ending this conversation. And then she defriended me. And so you may not see her in the group, because I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this. I just said, hey, just please chill out in the comments. If you're not going to promote me in some way, or at least give me a reason why you don't. And she can never give me a good reason. It's always an excuse. There's no good reason, really. Okay. But it's one thing to be all active in the group and pilfer through my people and promote yourself in an indirect way. And then it's another to actually be a substantiated ally, where it's like, at some point, are you going to put this out there for your people? Because it's not poisonous. It supports the body, mind, and spirit. And it's not poisonous. So what are you ashamed of? But remember, people, some of these psychotherapists will be very verbose in their response to try to distract me with all of their words. And I'm like, done. You never answer the question. It's political. Then they sound like a politician. And I'm not dealing with it. So, that's psychobabble. I guess that's what it is. So no, I won't play with the psychobabble. So yeah, I hold my health and wellness influencers to a very high standard, because they have the capacity to really change the market. And if they believe in my stuff, where's the evidence? Especially if you're not even using your real name. Okay. So if you're not using your real name, then you right there, it's like, okay. But if you're not even putting me on your Facebook page and say, hey, yeah, because they have the name of her company, whatever. But nowhere is there a sign of Julie Juice anywhere on her page. But if she wasn't so verbal, I wouldn't care. But it's the verbal ones that want people to notice who they are, to recognize, oh yeah, they know something. They know something. I need to go to her. She has something that I may need to help me through the J-Juice process. Because that is the angles, whether or not that's the intention, that's usually the angles. It might be the intention. And so that's why I put a very, like, bam, a fine line. I lay down the hammer. And I have to make that separation because of how calculated and just how things naturally go. People who are in the allopathic holistic world think that they know a whole lot more than the average person. And then when I challenge their thought process and I say, well, maybe your therapies could be doing more damage. But then she's like, oh no, I teach people how to go and manipulate their, and I'm like, there's no difference. Teaching someone how to manipulate their chakras because of trauma is no different as if you were touching them. Their body is still inequipped to handle the reinfection. And if you're not putting JJ somewhere as a support, to support the body going through these spiritual healing things, and you love the J-Juice, because that's what J-Juice does. It supports the body to handle the revisiting of the trauma. Because if, in the holistic world, when you are bringing up pain yet again, the body's supposed to try to heal, right? That's the whole intention of the holistic world. They're not trying to hurt you or kill you, but it seems to be that's always the outcome, because everybody dies, that's done it at some point. Okay, so obviously all those healing protocols aren't working, or we would have people living indefinitely. So if you're going to be bringing up the healing process, activating the immune system in some way, doing your little healing protocols and chakras and Reiki and whatever, then you better have that capacity, that vessel be able to handle the healing process. Or else it's going to be reinfecting and causing more damage to that person, because that person isn't any different. In fact, they've degraded since their initial trauma. The reason why that trauma is tucked away in parts of the body, in the lymph nodes and in different places, because it's the way the body's protecting it from the main core, so the person doesn't die right off the bat. But then you release all this trauma without the proper support of the vessel, strengthening the vessel, then you're reinfecting and then causing more damage. She didn't get that. And then she found a way to justify. Oh, I don't really talk about my stuff. No, but you made sure you let me know that you are some kind of spiritual healer, spiritual therapist. And you made sure you sent me an email that, oh yeah, Jillian, you're telekinetic or telepathic and da 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 da, and I can help you hone in on those skills. And I'm like, this was unsolicited. Already was red flags. Already on thin ice with me, because I'm like, does she do this with other people too? Does she private message all of my people in my group? And that's what I deal with. So there's so many different types of people that come through, and some shine me on, and some, yeah, I support you, and some say I don't support you, and that's fine, okay? But it's the inauthenticity is what red flags. And when you're healed and sealed, for the most part, your gut will let you know when somebody is really blowing smoke up your ass or shining you on or has a different agenda. And, I didn't want to confront the person right off the bat. But as soon as, she started demonizing parasites, and then diagnosing, and then saying, oh yeah, I'm bringing in all this jargon to show that she knew something, that she would be a person to go to, a professional. I had to knock that down very quickly, because some things you just kind of know There's something else going on. You can't put your finger on. People are not going to tell you their intentions, but you know something else is going on. And so if they don't put you on their platform, even with the fake name that they have, then something else is going on. And so I say you need to chill out on the comments in the group. I want more of the new people who are actually going through the healing process, who are not therapists trying to procure new clients, getting their voice out there. Even if my group is silent for a long ass time, I'm okay with that. I really need to have people who are going through the healing process with no other agenda that I suspect. And it's very difficult with professionals who come in here who claim that they are being healed or healing or something, but yet they don't put me as part of just somewhere on their Facebook to introduce me to their people, even under a fake name. So anyways, so yeah, I mean, I would rather have just a few people with real substantial struggles that are willing to take this on. Not a lot of people do, and that's okay. But I'm okay with 339, 338, 400 people in the group. I'm fine with that. It's a great number. It's not too much for any new person to go in and read the comments without getting totally overwhelmed by 60,000 people debating over everything. Because yeah, it was a Tower of Babel in my other group, but it needed to get out there. Now I really channel the information correctly, and I guide people in a specific way without being a doctor. And really, it's all up to you guys. Okay. And that's great, Joey. You drove through my town. Yes, it's fall is beautiful this time of year, or fall. Ohio is beautiful this time of year. Okay. Yeah, the colors, and it's getting cold and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, some of you are going to have some major healing symptoms in the beginning before you even get, like, the body knows it's going to go through a battle. It knows the J juice. It sees it. It knows it. Because remember, every single cell is alive. So if you have a major cancer, and yeah, it's going to be battle. And I'm telling you, that's why that guy in hospice didn't survive, because he couldn't handle the healing process. There was no way he could actually withstand, because he probably did more of the fruit juice and all of the other things, you know, that he already was prescribed to do over the J juice. You know, when somebody is in hospice, I'm going to just say, if someone's in hospice, they got to deal with, and it's going to be torturous. If you get to a point where you're in hospice, there's no way really you're going to be able to do the juice. I mean, there could be, I don't know. What would have to happen if somebody's in hospice to do the J juice? They'd have to be watched 24/7. They would have to be watched 24/7, potentially even strapped down, and have the juice almost forced down their throat or intravenously, and they would be going through like an exorcism, and it would be torturous. If a person in hospice did the juice and then reversed all their issues. So imagine if you're already throwing up and you haven't even taken the juice, and you've already been diagnosed with cancer, and you're trying to refuse chemotherapy, and who knows? It's going to be a battle. Not everybody is going to be able to do it. So don't let yourselves get to that point, some of you. And some of you are already at that point, and now you're facing the demon right in the face. And some of you are not strong enough. And some of you are. Some of you will wait to the last second, and some of you won't. And when you wait to the last second, you're rolling the dice. Because it's far easier to just smoke your pot and take all your drugs and go travel than it is to actually sit at home and face every single demon you've ever created in your whole life. Because every single time you apply the wrong chemistry to your body, Now with the J juice, you have to go and take accountability for bringing in the wrong chemistry, for bringing in that PTSD to every single part of your 11 different systems, your body, mind, and spirit. So the J juice just reminds you of how bad you treated your body and how bad your ancestors treated their bodies. Not everybody can handle it. And I make sure I set you up for that. So if you can't handle me at this, the way in which I am very much pound, pound, pound and setting boundaries, there's no freaking way you're going to handle the J juice. Yes, Kevin, you need to do a preemptive strike. Oh my God. And so today I'm going to do like 4 cups, and I'm going to do some waterfalls. I haven't done 4 cups in a while. I haven't done a quart in a while in one sitting. And so I'm going to do that because, I always want to keep pushing, because who knows how much more healing I have yet to go. And I'm acclimating to a new environment, which is a new season. I got to make sure that my body is supported through this new change. When seasons change, the body has to go through an adaptation process. And weak bodies, it will weaken their systems, weaken their weaknesses. So if you have arthritis and then you're going through a season change, your arthritis is going to let you know that you're going through a season change. Okay, so every single adaptation you go through, and this is like every single time you go through some kind of trauma or upset of homeostasis, you drink the J juice. Especially if you're still in the healing process, you're still relatively new. Not only you have to fix or strengthen the past issues, but the present issues and the future triggers. So it's until you get to a point of healing and sealing, it's going to be a battle. And some of you are playing footsie with J juice. I know it and you know it. You're like, oh yeah, I'll get to it someday. Oh yeah, I got to go make it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's not fun. It's not easy. But I know some of you have to work. Some of you are, and I get that. And you're going to have to prioritize. Some of you are taking care of kids that have mental illnesses. You're going to have to prioritize. You're right, Kevin. You think 1 waterfall a week forever will be ideal once you're at your level. You're absolutely right. And you can get away possibly even like, twice a month. But 1 waterfall a week isn't bad, especially if you're in aggressive climates. Let's say like Africa, or let's say like Antarctica. Okay. So yeah, so those of you that are starting this journey, it ain't going to be easy. And I never promised you a rose garden. I never promised anybody that this was going to be easy. If anything, all of the healing symptoms in my group, in the 60,000 person group, in my book, on my videos, should have clued you in that this wasn't going to be easy. And, when you ask my group, because some people are going to ask the group, well, how do you do this? How do you, if you're already throwing up, how are you going to get it in? Well, you start with a teaspoon. You keep it down. You drink some water. And then maybe a couple hours later, you do another teaspoon. You keep it down. You drink some water, whatever. And you just keep building from that, because it is an adaptation process. Not everybody can do a quart right off the bat. Some guys, I know some guys, or some lady, some transgender person actually did a quart right off the bat, but couldn't sustain the healing process, had too many other issues going on. I clearly understand that she's not around anymore, or he's not around anymore. But some people can't do a quart right off the bat. Some people can't even do a cup right off the bat. Some people have like, Crohn's syndrome or all that stuff. And so they have to be very, very careful, because they just, they want to do it, inject. Yeah, you can inject it. Okay. But I wouldn't do any kind of enema with it, because you will not be prepared for the healing symptoms, because when you drink it, your body will let you know how much of the healing process you can take. Your ass is not going to let you know how much you can handle. Because someone did do the J juice. They did an enema because they didn't want to drink it. Okay? And so they held so much in their ass. And they were just like on the floor. They couldn't move for a while. They may have been throwing up or something. I don't know. But it was too much nutrition. Too much nutrition at one time. They needed to transition onto it. Because you're introducing a new environment. It's like sticking you into it's like you know how the military, when they have to go to these gas chambers to know what it's like to experience tear gas. And so they go in, they run in take their face mask off and whatever, and then they come out all like crying and mucusy and all that stuff. Yeah, you don't want, some of you can't just change your environment like that. You have to transition because of how severe your issue is. So you just go slow. You go slow. This isn't poisonous, it's nutrition, but you just have to be able to transition and handle. And sometimes throwing up is going to happen. It happens. Not because the juice is poisonous, because you got stuff in your body that needs to come out, and finally now you have autophagy and epiphysis now being triggered. Your immune system is now being activated in the right way, and the body is reacting accordingly. So anyways, that's kind of the deal what's going on. But yeah, everybody has access to this. Everybody does. And the protocol is free. Everything's for free. The book isn't. But the support really isn't. But really, I mean, you get a lot of return on your investment. A lot. If you're not afraid of coming out publicly, because Facebook is a public place. So if you can handle public opinion, you can handle people private messaging you, you can handle being out there, you can handle somebody having a say, because someone inevitably will know that you're doing the protocol in your world. Because here's the thing, those who are health and wellness influencers, who are therapists in some way or another, if you're afraid of the backlash that much, then you're not as healed and sealed as you claim to be. See, that's what really struck me as funny, is that they're so afraid of the backlash that they're not strong enough to fight the uphill battle. But, people who are just starting the protocol, who are out there, and they're dealing with their friends and family having an opinion on it. And it's not easy, because they're still going through their healing process. Okay? It's not easy. And so some, had to defriend all of her JJ people, because their family was just, it was like turning into an unfriendly place on their wall. So many angry faces. And so now they're kind of keeping it under wraps. But at least they attempted, they put it out there. They were not afraid to put it out there, and they're still going to do it. But if you're a health and wellness influencer and you're not even willing to risk, and you're not willing to stand beside me publicly, you have no business being in my world. You're not as a stand-up health and wellness influencer as you claim to be, especially if you're that verbose back and forth, okay? Where you're taking my minerals, you're stealing my hormones with no return. Not that I expect you to give me money, but at least the support, at least a little bit of a promotion in some way. You say you're so young looking, that you're so this and you're so that, but you're not strong enough to put me out there, take a stand. So that's why I see, when people say one thing, they pay lip service, but they do another. You know, the Ohio Attorney General and the FDA and all these different people want substantiation. Well, I do too. And even more so if you are a health and wellness psychotherapist, therapist, influencer in your community. So if you are one, an influencer of health and wellness, and you're not willing to stand beside me and you believe in the protocol, don't pretend that you are supportive. Just keep silent, do the protocol. Don't debate with me in my group on things that I've already covered. Don't pull me into your stuff, okay? Because my group is not for a place for you to procure new clients. Okay, that's it. But you guys saw that ghost that came again. You saw that buzzing around my face. That was kind of crazy. That was a trip. That was cool. that was really cool. All right, you guys have a good one. You really do. Just do the J juice. Good luck in your healing process. Some of you are going to need it. Some of you have battles in your state that if you don't do the J juice, you're not going to survive the changes in your state. California in particular. Do the J juice. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.